The way a heart attack looks in the movies has probably cost more lives than almost anything else I can think of. The man grabs his chest, gasps and drops to the floor. Dramatic, unmistakable. So that is what people sit around waiting for. They feel something is wrong, but it does not match the movie. So they tell themselves it is indigestion, a pulled muscle. They are just tired, and they wait. In 15 years of practice, the single most common thing I have watched cost people their heart muscle, and sometimes their lives, was the time they spent waiting for a heart attack to look like the one on television. Here is what almost no one has ever sat you down and explained. During a heart attack, your survival is mostly decided in the first 10 to 15 minutes, long before you ever reach a hospital. And there are exactly 3 things you can do in those minutes that genuinely change how it ends. Not vague advice, 3 specific steps. 1 gets help moving toward you as fast as possible. 1 slows down the very thing that is killing your heart muscle. And 1 takes the load off your heart while you wait. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do and in what order, whether it is happening to you or to the person sitting right next to you. Because the day this actually happens, you are not going to have time to look it up. You will do what you already know or you will freeze. My job in the next 20 minutes is to make sure you already know. To understand why these 3 steps work and why the order matters so much, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your chest. Your heart is a muscle. Like any muscle, it needs a steady supply of oxygen, which it gets from its own network of arteries sitting right on its surface. We call them the coronary arteries. A heart attack happens when one of those arteries gets suddenly blocked, and almost always the thing blocking it is a blood clot. Here is what happens. A fatty deposit in the wall of the artery cracks open. Your blood does what it is built to do at any wound. It forms a clot to seal the crack. Except here in that narrow artery, the clot does not stop. It seals the pipe completely shut. And the second it does, the stretch of heart muscle being fed by that artery stops getting oxygen. Starved muscle does not wait patiently. It begins to die. I want this line burned into your memory. Time is muscle. The longer that artery stays blocked, the more of your heart dies. And most of that damage is permanent. The muscle that dies in the first hour does not grow back. Ever. So everything comes down to one question. How much of your heart can you keep alive until that artery gets reopened? 3 things decide the answer. How fast you get that artery reopened, how fast the clot keeps growing while you wait, and how hard your starving heart is being forced to work in the meantime. 3 factors. And here is the part that should give you real hope. You have a direct hand in all 3. That is exactly what the 3 techniques are. Each one goes after one of those factors. Now, before we get to the techniques, you have to be able to recognize what is happening, because you cannot act on a heart attack you have talked yourself out of having. Forget the movie. Most heart attacks do not begin with a dramatic collapse. They begin quietly. The most common sign is discomfort in the center of the chest, but people almost never call it pain. They call it pressure, tightness, a squeezing, a heaviness like a weight pressing down. It may come and go in waves, and it very often spreads to one or both arms, up into the jaw or neck, around to the back or down into the upper stomach, which is exactly why so many people swear it is heartburn. Add a cold sweat, shortness of breath, nausea, lightheadedness, or a sudden wave of exhaustion that makes no sense for what you're doing, and you have the real face of a heart attack. I need to say this part directly, especially for the women watching and for anyone with diabetes. Your heart attack is more likely to be the quiet kind. Women more often experience shortness of breath, nausea, jaw pain, back pain, or a profound fatigue, without the dramatic chest grab at all. And people with diabetes can have nerve damage that dulls the warning pain. A heart attack in a diabetic can be almost completely silent. So here is a simple rule I want you to carry with you. If something feels deeply wrong in your chest, your upper body, or your breathing, and it is not going away, you treat it as your heart until a trained professional tells you otherwise. You are allowed to be wrong. You are not allowed to wait One more distinction that matters enormously. People mix these two things up constantly. A heart attack is a plumbing problem. An artery is blocked. The person is usually awake, talking, frightened. Cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. The heart's rhythm suddenly goes wrong and the heart stops pumping. That person collapses, goes unresponsive, and is not breathing normally. A heart attack can tip over into cardiac arrest. That is exactly why the minutes matter so desperately. I will tell you what to do if someone collapses later. But the 3 techniques I'm about to give you are for the person who is conscious and showing those warning signs. Technique number 1. Call emergency services immediately. Yes, you have heard it 1,000 times. But how you make that call is exactly where people lose precious heart muscle. And this technique goes after factor 1. Getting that artery open as fast as humanly possible. Here is what most people do not understand about that call. The clock that matters most to your heart is not when you reach the hospital. It is the total time that artery stays blocked from start to finish. Calling an ambulance is the single fastest way to shrink that total, but not for the reason you would guess. When the paramedics reach you, your treatment begins right there in your living room. They can put an ECG on your chest, confirm it is a heart attack, and radio ahead so the cardiac team at the hospital is already prepared before you even arrive. People who come in by ambulance get treated faster than the ones who walk into the emergency room on their own, because the entire system is already in motion for them. Now the 2 mistakes, because these are the ones that cost people most. The first mistake is waiting. Telling yourself you will give it a few more minutes, that you do not want to bother anyone, that you would be embarrassed if it turned out to be nothing. Let me take that worry off your shoulders right now. Paramedics would far rather come out for a false alarm than arrive too late. That is the job. They mean it, and you are allowed to be wrong. The first hour of a heart attack is also when you are at the highest risk of slipping into one of those dangerous rhythms that can stop the heart. The ambulance carries the one machine that can shock the heart back. A defibrillator. Sitting at home waiting means none of that is anywhere near you. The second mistake is driving yourself or letting someone drive you. Please do not. If your heart slips into a dangerous rhythm while you are in a car, you can lose consciousness in traffic. You have turned one emergency into 2, with no equipment and no trained hands anywhere nearby. In the back of an ambulance, you are already inside a moving emergency room. So the move is simple. Sit down. Call emergency services. Say these exact words clearly. I think I am having a heart attack. Those specific words tell the dispatcher to send the right team and to start coaching you through what comes next, including the second technique. Technique number 2. If aspirin is available and you have no reason you cannot take it, chew 1 regular aspirin while you wait. This technique goes after factor 2, the clot that is actively growing in your artery right now. Remember, what is blocking the artery? A blood clot. And that clot is not a finished solid object just sitting there. It is still forming, still recruiting more platelets, the tiny blood cells whose job is to clump together and seal wounds. In a heart attack, that clumping is happening in the worst possible spot, sealing your artery tighter and tighter by the minute. Aspirin makes your platelets less sticky. It slows the clot's growth and in some cases keeps the artery from closing off completely before help arrives. In a landmark clinical trial published in The Lancet, a single dose of aspirin given during a heart attack cut the risk of dying by about 23% from 1 aspirin taken at the right moment. The specifics matter here. 1 regular strength aspirin, 325 milligrams, or 4 low-dose baby aspirins, which add up to roughly the same amount. And you chew it. Do not swallow it whole. Chewing breaks it down and gets it into your bloodstream in minutes rather than much longer. In a heart attack, minutes are the entire game. Your emergency dispatcher will usually ask if you have aspirin and tell you to take it. Let them guide you in the moment. But I need to draw clear lines around this. Do not take aspirin if you are allergic to it. Be cautious if you have a bleeding disorder, an active stomach ulcer, or if you are already on prescription blood thinners. If you're not sure, that is exactly what the dispatcher and paramedics are there to sort out with you. And hear this clearly. Aspirin is the second technique. It is never a substitute for calling for help. Chewing an aspirin and then lying down to see if it works on its own without calling for help is a deadly mistake. The aspirin buys a little time. The ambulance and hospital save your life. Technique number 3. Stop everything. Sit down. And bring your body as calm and still as you possibly can. This goes after factor 3. How hard your suffocating heart is being forced to work. Think about what is happening. A piece of your heart muscle is starving because its oxygen supply has been cut off. Now what does your heart do the moment you move around, climb stairs, get agitated or panic? It beats harder and faster, and it demands even more oxygen. But the supply line is blocked. Every bit of extra work you ask of your heart in that moment is work it simply cannot pay for. And that unpaid bill means more muscle damage and a higher chance of the rhythm going dangerous. So your one job is the exact opposite of effort, the instant you suspect it. Stop whatever you are doing. Get into a resting position. For most people, that means sitting down and leaning back slightly somewhere. You will not hurt yourself if you faint. If you are very short of breath, sitting up tends to be easier than lying flat. Loosen anything tight around your neck or your waist. Then work on your breathing. Slow and steady, in through the nose and out slowly. That is hard when you are frightened, and being frightened is completely natural. But panic floods your body with adrenaline, which drives your heart rate and blood pressure up at the worst possible moment. Slow, deliberate breathing pulls some of that back. And here is one small step that almost nobody thinks of, but has saved lives. If you're alone, before you sit down, go to your front door and unlock it, then sit nearby. That way the paramedics can get to you even if you cannot get up to let them in when they arrive. One last thing I need to address because it goes around the internet regularly and it is dangerous. You may have seen messages about so-called cough CPR. The idea that if you feel a heart attack coming on while alone, you should cough hard and rhythmically. This does not work for a person having a heart attack on their own. The American Heart Association has addressed this directly. Worse, trying it instead of picking up the phone costs you the exact time that actually saves your life. Forget the coughing. The real third technique is simple and proven. Stop moving. Sit down. Slow your breathing. Unlock your door. And let the help that is already on its way come to you. Now I need to cover one more situation, because one day you might be the one who has to act for somebody else. What if the person collapses? You get to them and they are unresponsive and not breathing normally. That is no longer a heart attack you can talk them through. That is cardiac arrest. The heart has stopped. Right now, you are this person's single best chance of living. 2 steps, and you do not need a single day of training to do them. First, call emergency services and put it on speaker so your hands are free, or send someone else to call while you act. Second, start pushing. Put the heel of one hand right in the center of the chest, your other hand on top of it. Lock your elbows. Push down hard and fast, about 2 pushes every second, and do not stop. You are doing the pumping that their heart cannot do for itself. Bystander CPR can double or even triple a person's chance of surviving cardiac arrest. You cannot make things worse. In cardiac arrest, the only wrong move is doing nothing at all. If there is an automated defibrillator nearby, the kind you see mounted on walls in airports, gyms, and shopping centers, send someone to get it. It will talk you through every step out loud. It will not deliver a shock unless one is truly needed. Now let me tell you what to do before this ever happens. Because the people who come through a heart attack best are the ones who got ready in advance. Tonight, do a few small things. Keep a bottle of regular aspirin somewhere you and the people you live with could find it in the dark in 10 seconds. Make sure your house number is clearly visible from the street so an ambulance can find you without searching. If you already have a heart condition, know where your medication list is. Have an honest conversation with the people in your home about these warning signs and this plan. The heart attack is not the time to be learning any of this. Tonight is. So let me give you the plan in the order that matters. 1. Call emergency services immediately. Say the words clearly. I think I am having a heart attack. Do not wait to see if it passes. Do not drive yourself. 2. While you wait, If you have aspirin and no reason you cannot take it, chew one regular aspirin. Let the dispatcher guide you on this. 3. Stop everything. Sit down. Loosen tight clothing. Unlock your front door. Slow your breathing. Take the load off your heart and let help come to you. And if someone collapses and is not breathing normally, call emergency services, put it on speaker, and start hands-only CPR. Hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. You did not choose your genetics. You cannot undo decades of cholesterol overnight, but the first 10 minutes of a heart attack belongs entirely to you. That is the part you control. And now you have a plan. If this gave you something you did not have 20 minutes ago, please subscribe to this channel. I post new videos every day to help you stay strong and healthy after 60. Thank you for watching. Take care of that heart of yours. Please subscribe to this channel. New videos every day to help you stay healthy after 60.